I'm not the kind of person who believes in ghosts, monsters, or anything supernatural. I've driven alone at night plenty of times. I've worked overnight shifts, traveled across states, slept in my car, you name it. Nothing ever scared me before. But what happened on Route 19 3 years ago wasn't a dream, a trick of the light, or a panic attack. I wasn't drunk. I wasn't sleep deprived. I wasn't imagining anything. I know exactly what I saw on that road, and what followed me afterward. If you've ever driven on an empty highway at 1 or 2 a.m., with nothing but your headlights and miles of darkness, then you already know how exposed you feel out there. But nothing can prepare you for the moment you realize you're not actually alone. And whatever else is out there with you doesn't feel human. I was driving home from my cousin's place in West Virginia. It was early October, around 11:40 p.m., and the temperature had dropped enough that the air outside looked slightly foggy. I remember thinking the weather was perfect for a long drive. What I didn't realize was that Route 19 is one of those roads locals warn each other about, the kind where people disappear, cars are found abandoned, and weird reports come in every few months. My cousin jokingly told me, "Take another route. People see things on that road." I laughed it off. I wish I hadn't. About 40 minutes into the drive, the last bit of civilization disappeared completely. No gas stations. No street lights, not a single car behind me, not one car coming from the opposite side, just dark farmland, tall grass, and a straight stretch of highway cutting through nothing. That's when the first strange feeling hit me, like someone was in the back seat. I'm going to start by saying this as clearly as possible. I was not tired. I was not imagining anything. And I wasn't afraid of night driving until what happened that night. I've driven countless empty highways in the US, long stretches with no towns, no lights, nothing but silence and your own thoughts. I always liked that calm. In fact, I preferred driving at night because there were fewer cars on the road. But after my experience on Route 19, I haven't driven alone at night a single time. It's been 3 years. And I still can't look into my rear view mirror without feeling like something is sitting in the back seat. I know how that sounds. I know you might think I'm exaggerating. All I can say is this: if you ever travel Route 19 after midnight, do not slow down. Do not stop. And whatever you do,
don't look behind you.
This happened in early October. I had spent the weekend visiting my cousin Matt in a small West Virginia town. Originally, I planned to leave before sunset, but time got away from us. We were talking, eating, catching up, and by the time I checked the clock, it was already past 11 p.m. Just stay the night, he told me. You seriously want to drive Route 19 right now? I shrugged. It's a straight road. I'll be fine. Matt didn't laugh. He just looked at me with this uneasy expression. His voice was quieter when he spoke again. People say weird stuff happens on that stretch. You know, sightings, strange accidents, folks getting lost. Sightings? I repeated. Of what? He shook his head. Doesn't matter. Just be careful, okay? That was the first warning. I didn't take it seriously. I wish I had. I left his place around 11:20 p.m. The first 30 or 40 minutes were perfectly normal. A few houses, and the occasional street light, 3 gas stations, then open land. The farther I drove, the dimmer everything felt. Even the moonlight looked weaker. At exactly 12:43 a.m., everything became pitch black. No houses, no side roads, no cars ahead of me, no cars behind me. Just the faint glow of my headlights stretching across an empty highway. I turned the radio off, not because I was scared, I just wanted to focus. The silence actually felt calming at first. But then I noticed something, a strange pressure behind me. Not physical, more like a presence. The kind of feeling you get when you know someone is staring at you. Except I knew there was no one in the car. I tried to ignore it. I told myself it was my imagination. But the feeling kept growing stronger, to the point where I had to physically resist the urge to look in the rearview mirror. It's strange, the human instinct to look behind you is powerful, especially when every nerve in your body is telling you something is back there. I forced myself to keep my eyes on the road, and that's when I saw him. He appeared far ahead, maybe 300 feet away, a lonely, still figure standing in the middle of the asphalt. My headlights barely touched him, but I could make out the shape of a person. I slowed down. At first, I thought he was a stranded driver, a drunk, maybe someone injured. Human instinct says you help, but the closer I got, the more wrong everything felt. He wasn't waving, he wasn't signaling, he wasn't even shifting his weight. He was motionless, like a statue placed there. As I approached, I realized his posture was unnatural. His head was tilted far to the left, too far, like his neck couldn't support it. Around 50 feet away, my headlights finally lit up his face, and I swear on everything I love, it wasn't a normal face. It wasn't missing features or anything impossible. It was just wrong, blurry, distorted, like I was looking at a face underwater. I slowed almost to a stop. "Sir?" I called out through my open window. "Are you okay?" He didn't respond. He didn't even blink. Just stood there with that twisted head and that warped face, staring straight at my car. My heartbeat pounded in my ears. I put my foot on the gas, ready to swerve around him. But before I could do anything, he lifted his head. Not slowly, not normally. His neck snapped upright in one sharp, unnatural movement. The kind of movement a human body isn't supposed to make. I froze. Then he started walking toward me. Not limping, not stumbling. Just walking, steady, deliberate, getting closer with each step. My chest locked up. Instinct took over. I slammed the gas pedal and jerked the wheel, swerving around him. My headlights crossed his face for a split second, and that's when I saw his eyes. Or rather, the dark, hollow places where eyes should have been. My entire body went cold. I don't remember breathing as I flew past him. I don't remember blinking, but I do remember the sound that came next. Breathing, not mine, coming from the back seat. It started as a soft inhale, then a trembling exhale. Wet, heavy, sick breathing, like someone drowning slowly. At first, I thought the sound was coming from outside the car. Maybe wind, maybe something rubbing against the door. But when I pressed my back deeper into the seat, I felt it. The breathing vibrated through the floor, coming from under the back seat. A slow, drawn-out inhale, a choking, gurgling exhale. My skin went numb. My fingers tightened around the wheel until they hurt. I didn't say anything. I didn't scream. I just pressed the accelerator, speeding down that empty road faster than I ever had in my life. The breathing grew louder, then I heard something else. A long, slow scratch, dragging across the fabric behind me. I wanted to look. I wanted to see what was happening. But something in me, some primal instinct, stopped me. It whispered inside me.
If you look, they will see you.
I kept staring out the windshield, refusing to check the mirror. The scratching stopped. The breathing went silent. For a few seconds, the car felt empty again. Then a voice, faint, broken, whispered,
"Don't leave."
My heart almost stopped. I hit 90 miles per hour, then 95. The voice didn't speak again, but I felt something cold brush against the back of my neck. That was the moment I finally lost control. The moment I felt that cold brush across the back of my neck, my entire body locked up. It felt like a hand, not grabbing me, not hurting me, just touching me lightly, testing me. I jerked the wheel by accident. the car swerving for half a second, tires screeching against the pavement. I forced myself to straighten out and stared hard at the road ahead. I didn't dare look behind me. All I could think was, if I look back, it's over. I don't know how long I drove like that. Maybe 10 minutes, maybe 20. Time didn't exist. My chest hurt from how fast my heart was racing. I kept my foot on the gas, speeding down that endless, pitch black stretched out. Then suddenly, red and blue lights appeared ahead. A police cruiser. I almost cried from relief. I slowed down and pulled behind it. The second my car stopped, everything inside went silent. No breathing, no scratching, no whispering, just silence. A tall officer stepped out of the cruiser, middle-aged, slightly heavy. A calm, serious face. His badge read Deputy Mills. He walked up to my window. He looked at me for no more than 2 seconds before asking, "Son, did you see somebody on the road back there?" My throat tightened. "Yes, a man. He didn't have..." The officer raised his hand, stopping me from finishing the sentence. He didn't look surprised. He didn't look confused. He looked tired, like he had heard this before. He let out a slow breath and glanced down the dark highway behind me. "How close did you get to him?" he asked quietly. I drove right past him," I said. He walked toward my car. Again, Deputy Mills cut me off. "Did you slow down?" My hands shook on the steering wheel. "Yes." He closed his eyes for a moment, like someone trying to gather the right words. When he opened them, he leaned in closer to my window and lowered his voice. "Listen to me very carefully. You need to keep driving. Don't stop again. Not for anything. Not until you reach the next town." My heart dropped into my stomach. "Why?" I whispered. He looked me straight in the eyes. "Because it follows the ones who slow down." I felt every hair on my arm stand up. "But is it?" I began. He shook his head quickly. "Don't ask. Don't describe what you saw. Don't think about it. Just drive." My breathing became shallow. "Is it still behind me?" He didn't answer. Instead, his eyes flicked past my shoulder, toward the back seat of my car. His expression changed. Not fear exactly, but a stiff, uneasy tension. I couldn't breathe. The officer stepped back. "Go," he said firmly. "Right now. And whatever you do, don't look in your mirrors for the next few miles." I didn't ask another question. I rolled up my window with shaking hands, put the car in drive, pressed the gas. But just before I pulled away, instinct made me glance at the officer one last time. Big mistake. He was staring directly at the back seat of my car, wide-eyed, like he was watching something rise up behind me. I pressed the gas and shot forward onto the dark road. I kept my eyes locked on the road. I didn't blink. I didn't breathe right. All I heard was the pounding of my heartbeat in my ears. About 2 minutes later, the radio turned itself on. A crackle of static filled the car. I didn't touch it. I didn't move. I kept both hands on the wheel. The static changed pitch, from random noise to something like a voice buried under snow. Then slowly, painfully slowly, 3 words formed. "I see you." My vision blurred from fear. My eyes filled with tears I didn't even feel coming. The voice repeated, "I see you." I wanted to scream. I wanted to pull over and run into the dark fields. I wanted to do anything but sit there. But the officer's warning looped in my head. "Don't stop. Don't look back." The static distorted, turning into a low, broken moaning sound. My speakers vibrated with it. The car felt smaller and smaller, like the inside was shrinking around me. Then, a sharp crack echoed from the back seat, like knuckles popping, followed by the soft sound of fabric shifting. Someone, or something, was moving. I gripped the wheel so tightly my fingers went numb. "Please," I whispered to no one. "Please stop." And then finally the radio went dead silent. For 10 whole seconds, nothing happened. 10 seconds of quiet is so heavy it hurt my ears. Then I saw him again. He was standing on the road ahead, not 50 feet away, not 200 feet. This time he was right in front of my headlights, dead center, waiting, his body perfectly still, his head tilted again, even more than before, his clothes dirtier, and his face. My headlights hit him fully. The dark hollows where his eyes should have been were wider, deeper, almost smiling. He wasn't blurry anymore. He was crystal clear, but empty, completely empty. I couldn't stop. I couldn't hit him. I couldn't turn around. I swerved last second, tires screeching, the car jerking violently as I passed him. As the car shot past, something cold pushed against the outside of my window. Like a palm dragging across the glass, a whisper cut through the silence. "Don't leave." I nearly threw up from fear. He didn't even blink, just stood there with that twisted head and that warped face, staring straight at my car. My heartbeat pounded in my ears. I put my foot on the gas, ready to swerve around him, but before I could do anything, he lifted his head, not slowly, not normally. His neck snapped upright in one sharp, unnatural movement, the kind of movement a human body isn't supposed to make. I froze. Then he started walking toward me, not limping, not stumbling, just walking, steady, deliberate, getting closer with each step. My chest locked up. Instinct took over. I slammed the gas pedal and jerked the wheel, swerving around him. My headlights crossed his face for a split second, and that's when I saw his eyes. Or rather, the dark, hollow places where eyes should have been. My entire body went cold. I don't remember breathing as I flew past him. I don't remember blinking, but I do remember the sound that came next. Breathing, not mine, coming from the back seat. It started as a soft inhale, then a trembling exhale. Wet, heavy, sick breathing, like someone drowning slowly. At first, I thought the sound was coming from outside the car. Maybe wind, maybe something rubbing against the door. But when I pressed my back deeper into the seat, I felt it. The breathing vibrated through the floor, coming from under the back seat. A slow, drawn-out inhale, a choking, gurgling exhale. My skin went numb. My fingers tightened around the wheel until they hurt. I didn't say anything. I didn't scream. I just pressed the accelerator, speeding down that empty road faster than I ever had in my life. The breathing grew louder. Then I heard something else. A long, slow scratch, dragging across the fabric behind me. I wanted to look. I wanted to see what was happening. But something in me, some primal instinct, stopped me. It whispered inside me, "If you look, it will see you." I kept staring out the windshield, refusing to check the mirror. The scratching stopped. The breathing went silent. For a few seconds, the car felt empty again. Then a voice, faint, broken, whispered, "Don't leave." My heart almost stopped. I hit 90 miles per hour, then 95. The voice didn't speak again, but I felt something cold brush against the back of my neck. That was the moment I finally lost control. Inside the convenience store, the bright lights made me feel a little safer. I grabbed a water bottle with trembling hands. The cashier, a middle-aged woman with short gray hair, watched me closely. "You look pale, hon," she said. "You all right?" "No," I admitted. I think something followed me from the highway." Her expression changed instantly. "You came from Route 19? I froze. How'd you know?" She exhaled like someone who had heard this far too many times. "People who come off that road at this hour always look like you." "What does that mean?" I whispered. She stepped closer to the counter, lowering her voice. "Did you stop on the way?" "Yes." Her face tightened. "Then you let it near you." My throat closed up. "What is it?" I asked. She shook her head. "No one knows. Some say it's a man who died out there." Some say it's something else, but whatever it is, it tries to leave with people. I felt sick. It's not still with me, right? She hesitated, and that hesitation told me everything. You're safe in town, she said quietly. It can't cross into populated areas unless you let it. How would I let it? I asked. Her answer chilled me. By acknowledging it. By feeding the fear. By looking for it. I swallowed hard. I'm checking into a motel. Is that safe? The woman looked toward the window. At my car. I hope so, she said softly. But keep the lights on. And whatever you do, don't look in the dark corners. My stomach twisted because I knew exactly what she meant. I checked into the nearest motel, the Bridgewood Inn. The place was old and quiet, with faded carpets and buzzing fluorescent lights, but it felt safer than the car. At least that's what I thought. I took room 12. As soon as I stepped inside, I locked every lock on the door. I checked the bathroom. I checked the closet. I pulled the curtains tight. Then I turned on every light. The room looked normal enough. Beige walls, a cheap bedspread, a small table, and a flickering lamp. But the air felt heavy, like the walls were holding their breath. I sat on the edge of the bed trying to calm down. For a few minutes, nothing happened. I remember thinking, maybe it ended on the road. Maybe I'm safe now. I was wrong. Around 3 a.m. I heard something, a soft tap, coming from the bathroom door. I froze. Another tap, then a slow scrape, like nails dragging lightly across wood. My breath hitched. No, I whispered. Not here. The bathroom door handle twitched. Just once, then another sound. Something sliding under the carpet, dragging itself, coming closer. I backed up to the headboard, trembling. Stop, I whispered. Please. The room went silent for almost 2 minutes. Then the breathing started. Slow, heavy, wet, right behind me. I couldn't move. I couldn't turn around. I couldn't think. The breathing grew louder, right at my ear, like someone leaning in close. A cold whisper brushed the back of my neck. He looked back. That's when I finally snapped. I jumped up, nearly tripping over the bed, and sprinted out of the room. I didn't grab my bag. I didn't turn off the lights. I didn't even close the door. I ran straight to my car. I don't remember how I managed to start the car. My hands were shaking so badly, I could barely hold the steering wheel. I just knew I had to get out of that motel, out of that town, before whatever had been breathing behind me found another chance to get closer. The streets were empty. The whole town looked asleep. But even with houses and lights around me, I didn't feel safe. Not anymore. I drove until the town disappeared in my rearview mirror. Only then did I finally pull over at a small rest stop on the edge of the city I lived in. It was nearly sunrise by then. I sat there for 10 minutes just trying to breathe, trying to understand what had happened. But I couldn't. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw that motel room. I heard the tapping. I felt that cold breath on my neck. I went home that morning and didn't tell anyone a word of it. Not my friends, not my family, not a single person, because I knew nobody would believe it. But the real problem wasn't the fear. The real problem started when I realized something. It didn't stay on Route 19. It didn't stay in the motel. It followed me home. For the next several weeks, I barely slept. I kept every light on. I slept on the couch instead of my room. I locked the bedroom door even though I was the only one living there. Still, the nights were never quiet. Some nights I heard breathing coming from the closet. Some nights the floorboards creaked right beside the couch. Sometimes I would be half asleep and feel the cushion beside me sink, like something invisible had just sat down. Every time it happened, I froze. I didn't move. I didn't look. I didn't speak, because that voice from the motel kept echoing in my head. He looked back. I didn't want to give it another reason to come closer, but avoiding it didn't help. One night around 3 a.m., I woke up suddenly. Not from a sound, not from a nightmare, just awake. And I knew I wasn't alone. I couldn't see anything, but I could feel the shape of a person sitting on the edge of the couch near my feet. Not moving, not breathing, just sitting there, watching me, waiting. My chest tightened so hard I couldn't breathe. The pressure on the cushion shifted slightly, like it was leaning closer. I kept my eyes shut. I didn't want to see it again. And then, right next to my ear, I heard that same low whisper. I found you. I don't remember what happened after that. I don't remember getting up. I don't remember falling. I don't remember anything. I woke up on the floor hours later, drenched in sweat, shaking so violently I could barely crawl. That morning I packed a bag and moved out of the apartment. I didn't even break the lease. I didn't care. I just knew I couldn't stay there anymore. For a while things got quiet. I avoided highways completely. I never drove at night. I didn't talk about what happened, not to anyone. But 2 months later, everything fell apart again. I was driving to my parents' place for Thanksgiving. I planned the whole route carefully, only major highways. Lots of traffic, no back roads. But 20 minutes from their house, I hit a long line of cars. An accident. Traffic cones. A detour sign. Left lane closed. USE Route 19, Detour 1, 4 miles. My stomach dropped. No, please, not that road. But there was no choice. Every car ahead of me had already turned onto the detour. I had to follow. The sky was pitch black. The road was narrow and empty, and even though I wasn't technically on Route 19 yet, I knew I was close. My hands were shaking on the wheel. 5 minutes passed. Then 10. Nothing happened. For a moment, I let myself hope. Maybe it's gone. Maybe it moved on. Maybe I'm safe. Then the radio made a soft crackling sound. Static. Low at first, then louder. Then the static broke apart, forming a slow, dragging breath. Wet. Heavy. Familiar. I gripped the wheel so hard my knuckles went white. No, not again, please. The static twisted, like someone trying to speak through broken lungs. Then I heard a voice come through the speakers. Not whispering this time, not distant. Right next to me. I'm still here. I forced myself not to look in the mirror, but my eyes, my stupid eyes, drifted up anyway. And in the reflection, I saw it. Something rising behind me in the back seat. A shadow. A head. A hollow face leaning forward. The dark holes where its eyes should have been were wide open, staring at me. Breathing. Waiting. I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I just whispered, "Why me?" The figure tilted its head, the same broken angle. I saw that night on the road and the voice came again. "You're the only one who saw me." And that's the last thing I remember. When I opened my eyes again, I was parked at a gas station with my engine running. 2 hours had passed. A highway patrol officer was knocking on my window, asking if I was okay. I told him yes. I lied. I thought I had escaped. I thought the town, the motel, the daylight, they had kept me safe. But 2 months later, Thanksgiving came. I was driving to see my parents, taking a different route. Busy highways, well-lit roads, no quiet highways. Nothing that could let it catch me off guard. At least that's what I thought. Around 9 p.m., traffic slowed. A crash up ahead forced a detour. The sign pointed left, down a narrow, dark road. I froze. The words on the sign made my stomach drop. No, not Route 19. Anywhere but Route 19. But there was no other choice. Cars ahead were already turning. I followed them, gripping the wheel so tightly my knuckles ached. The road swallowed us. Black trees on either side. No lights. No sound except for the tires on asphalt and the hum of my engine. And then the radio crackled. Soft static. I froze. Then came the breathing, slow, wet, heavy, the same sound from that night, familiar, wrong. I tried not to look. I forced my eyes on the road, but the back seat moved, just slightly, and then it rose, a shape, a head, a face, hollow, empty, watching. I didn't scream. I couldn't. I whispered instead. You don't want me. Its breath brushed my neck. Cold, rotting. I felt the presence lean closer. And then it whispered, you were the only one who saw me. The words froze me. I couldn't think, couldn't move, couldn't even breathe properly. The next thing I remember, I woke up at a gas station. Engine running. The highway patrol was there. Everything okay? They asked. I said yes. I lied. Because the truth is too terrifying. I've avoided Route 19 ever since. I avoid quiet roads, empty highways, and traveling alone at night. But every time I glance in my rearview mirror, I feel it. The back seat isn't empty, and I know somewhere back there is still watching, waiting. Even years later, the memory hasn't faded. Some nights when everything is quiet and dark, I still hear it breathing, wet, ragged, somewhere behind me just out of sight. I feel it sit at the edge of my bed. I smell that cold, rotten scent, wet dirt mixed with something metallic. I've moved apartments, cities even. I've changed jobs, routines, cars. Nothing matters. It's always there, waiting, patient, silent. Every time I drive alone, even in bright city streets, I check my mirrors, and for a split second, I feel it, the back seat shifting, that invisible weight pressing down, watching me, judging me, reminding me, once you see it, it never leaves. Not really. It doesn't need roads. It doesn't need highways. It doesn't need darkness. It only needs you to remember. And I do. I remember every detail, every sound, every whisper, every terrifying second that it followed me along Route 19. So if you're out there driving alone at night on an empty highway, don't. Because if it sees you, it will follow you. And it will never, ever let go. You've already stepped too far into the dark. Subscribe and let the shadows whisper their next truth directly into your ear.